bringing to the table here is Criptids of the Multiverse, and the main culprits so far, archetypes are anthropomorphized aspects of our personality. They don't have to be anthropomorphized, but that's commonly they are. And, they are not alive unless we change them. Only when archetypes change, the meaning of language evolves. They're only alive in the sense of the language is living language. So language that we relate to archetypes is living language. So as the language evolves and the meaning of words is skewed ever so slightly, that's how slow an archetype's life experience is. They define certain aspects of our personality. Certain aspects of our personality are called to skew aspects of our living language. So it's kind of like a dual symbiosis. If language is alive, they are alive. If it dies, they die. But they can, well, if language dies, that language dies to jump to a new language. All language dies, they die. And we will not be able to communicate if there'd be one man left. So those archetypes, and which got me thinking about archons. And like, how do the archons relate to the some epistemologically similar concepts? Well, the epistemology of archon just simply means ruler, overlord, taskmaster. And it's not. I would not call it a fitting. I mean, yes, in the sense we are driven by these archons. The archons are the margin of error, the things that should not be. And they have a life, but it is not their own. It is a bigger picture. These egregores. Now, not all egregores are bad. Just like not all autonomic functions are bad. Let me back up. An egregore. Let me talk about it. An egregore is this nasty booger. That is the true overlord. That is the true taskmaster. That is what will override our conscious experience of being a cognitive, logical individual every time. An egregore is grounded in the autonomic regions of our brain. An egregore is unconscious, and it does not exist in just your brain. It's a social narrative that exists in a body or collective people, a minority, a stereotype. So, in the sense that yes, you can have a egregore without a collective, but it's no more alive than any other of your thoughts, It's no more alive than the command, the syntax in your brain that fucking tells your heart to beat at a steady rhythm. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it becomes alive when you add the collective, simply because, well, the archons exist. The margin for error. The unknown. The buffer point for chaos. Chaos enters in where two or more meet in my name. There shall I be. Jesus made a very bold statement in saying that he is an egregore upon his death. How did he become an egregore? He gave his life for that. Did he die? 3 days later, he rose again from the dead. we know that scientifically it's not possible. His body could not have risen from the dead afterwards. It'd be a miracle. We don't believe in miracles. We believe in magic. We believe in science. We don't believe in miracles. Miracles are extraordinary things that do not happen in reality. They're pipe dreams. Hope on a miracle, and you'll hope in vain. Hope on chaos, you might get a fair chance. Or you might get snake eyes. It's a roll of dice. I feel like I should write a book called The Catechism of Chaos. Anyway. So it comes alive when two or more meet in my name. There is a certain meeting of minds. And where they don't meet exactly alike, and no man is exactly as another is, there lies the room for the whatever narrative is in both of y'all's brain to be skewed, to move, to adapt, to take on a life of its own. And the more that are pulled into this, the more margin for error there is in any movement subject to interpretation. The personal Jesus, the personal interpretation of Scripture, that sort of thing. It's margin of error for there, but it's a collective narrative that has wiggle room. Suddenly it takes on a life of its own. And there are starting out as one church, all of a sudden breaking off into multiple churches, all under the service of this one egregor's name. And in that sense, what an egregore starts out as is not exactly what it's going to finish at. So we don't know, actually, what an egregore intends. It's an autonomic function, and it becomes what it is, and does what it does out of absolute necessity. Now, the rules that govern that necessity are unfathomable to us because they're unconscious. We can clue in on those using shadow work and try to decipher what's going the fuck on in our head, but our collective head, that is. But these creatures really are alive. They drive us from the basal ganglia of the collective body. They send these archons out as glitches in the system, sort of thing. That have error codes written in it, automatically fight or flight activated, and we run and we do what we must, whether it's logical or not. It seems logical to us, like 1 times 1 equaling 1. That is not logical. If the square root of this is very easy to understand. Most of you will say it's erroneous, and I'm just not getting the concept of math. No, I get the concept of math. Math is erroneous. It doesn't compute with reality. Because it uses language as a tool to describe itself, but doesn't, yeah. You can't multiply something and have it come out the same value. That's not multiplication. That's still life. That's death and rebirth simultaneously. So that would be division and multiplication at the same time. So it's not. Just repeat. 1 times 1 is not 1. 1 times 1 is 2. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 2 is 1. But mathematics breaks down at 2 because... Their whole system was just based on a fucking erroneous. It's an abstract. It's an abstract of a very real problem that they couldn't quite comprehend. You tried to make an abstract tool to help them understand it, and they failed to meet the same standards as the dialogue that was before them. You know, which is reality. So I do get the concept of why 1 times 1 equals 1 and why it works mathematically. But it's logically, it's erroneous, it's flawed, it's bullshit. And yet we build our whole logical mindset off of this idea that, hey, math can explain the whole universe. Math conforms to reality. No, it doesn't. If it ain't mathematical, it ain't logical. You can't make... So our sense of what is logical is based on the bare skeletal basis for logical rightness is to say, does it mathematically make sense? Alright, then on a on the skeletal level, it is correct. Now then we work out the details, but all our logic is based on math. And at the very root of our logic structures is the most obvious fucking error to anyone with a fucking brain. I honestly don't believe that knowledge and wisdom go hand in hand. The greatest obstacle to wisdom is knowledge. Wisdom is sister to understanding. Knowledge, well, that's a bedfellow with doubt. For when you know one thing, you doubt everything that you see that differs from that. I know nothing, and I see it all. Is the aspiration of every true spiritual chaos junkie ass wizard wannabe like me. Zen Master Bruce Wacky. Anyway, so we're all fucking, in a sense, yeah, my last videos were morose, because you gotta understand, I'm coming to the realization, as I'm explaining to you, coming to the significance of this realization, that we are in a fucking prison, no matter what. If we are a part of a social body, we accept social narratives as gospel truth, luckily, I've always felt I was atypical, like we go against the grain. I'm diagnosed with enough mental illness. I'm clinically insane, so it's okay for me to question this. You can't judge me. It's my forthright obligation to question this, Like, if you want to go along with social narrative, I'm not saying that all social narrative is wrong. They use the archons as air quotes to trigger the autonomic response to fight or flight to drive us to find meaning in life and a sense of rightness to the wrong that is that error code. That wrong is the error code. The pain in this world is our own collective machination of trying to make it work. These social narratives work in a body bigger than just one person. Because see, we got this thing called charisma that I present to you a logic structure, and it makes sense because it looks pretty and sort of has a nice pattern to it, and like I have the persona and the charisma to present it to you in such a way that, despite its obvious flaws, the soundest mind would be like, yeah, I guess so, yeah, that makes sense, and accept it as truth. And until they really sit down and take the time to really tear it apart, they'd realize that no, it's not really true. But once the charisma is a bitch. Charisma is this thing that you build charisma in certain esoteric practices by the sutra of semen retention. Charisma was to attract a mate. It was to make you more attractive, not your ideas. It evolved as a function with our species prior to our species having anything but an autonomic brain. Ideas were foreign concepts to us, and concepts were embodied in action. But we've grown past that. We still have our actions. Now our actions have ideas. And the ideas of our actions have bodies and ideas of their own. Every aspect of our being is defined as eukaryotic. Even our thoughts. A thought is not independent of its meaning, and its meaning is defined by thought. Our mind is a microcosm, and our thoughts are alive. Our experiences our perceptions, our senses, they are wrought on us by our living thoughts. And our thoughts are fruitful and multiply and evolve. Even if we don't. Let us not be left behind by the very things we have spawned into existence. For a system of ultimate complexity can only become so complex before it starts to freeze where it began, and we are stretched into a rigid state of existence. The very thing we find meaningful in life could transcend us. to where we no longer are the ones searching for meaning. We become the meaning in our thoughts. Experience. And when we are the meaning that our thoughts experience, well, we're not the ground they stand on anymore. We are the ground. They are the ground we stand on. Our life becomes their